Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast.
Tonight, I need you by my side. Hold on to me and keep me in the light. And when the shadows get long and the whippoorwill song is so loud that it hurts, I need to be with you tonight so I can stay on the bright side of the earth.
What's happening, all my woods people? I am hanging out in the cold. It's 53 degrees where I'm at and raining, and I'm on the phone with my good friend, my long-lost friend, KC Smith. What's happening, dude?
Well, I just got home from work and downed a protein shake, and now I'm sipping kombucha. So,
baby.
I mean, we're just straight up in a hippie workout kind of groove right now, man.
Yeah, you're a Gila hippie, bro.
That's right. That's it, dude. I'm a happy Gila hippie.
Dang, let's keep going. No, for real though. You're probably sweating it out right now, I'm guessing. I've heard it's smoking hot back home.
Yeah, it got hot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's crested 100 yet, so we might get through June without 100. That would be cool.
Man.
But this, like the last couple of days, it's kind of been high 90s, which is what we're more used to this time of year. It's not like it's crazy, but yesterday I decided to run at 4:30, and I ran on the blacktop. Yeah, and it was terrible. It was like the worst choice of probably the 2019 year so far. I got it done, but it was way slower than normal, and I came back. And you know how your body gets into like one of those sweating moods where like you just start to perspirate all over your body and it doesn't stop for an hour? That's what I had going. Like cold shower, air conditioner, fan, doesn't matter. You just keep sweating.
Yeah,
I mean, I literally made the front porch muddy because the dirt that was on the front porch mixed with my sweat. It was pretty gross.
Man.
Yeah. But
that's I haven't missed it too much, man. I'll tell you that.
Dude, 53 is unreal. That's crazy.
I know. It's about midday here, and it's 53 degrees, and it's been raining. And, like, I'll tell you what, man, a sweatshirt just don't do it, like, in that weather, even.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, this time of year, I guess, I don't know if, what my body expects. It's not like, we kind of missed out on all the terrible weather this year so far because we left right when apparently high 90s started hitting and humidity and all that, which it was humid. It was just low, upper 80s, low 90s when we were there. So, yeah. But been traveling like crazy, man. I'll be frank with you, I am whooped right now, dude.
I bet. I saw your wife posted a picture of your daughter who just sacked out real hard. Yeah. And she said something about vacation's tough, y'all, or something like that.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. My sleeping situation, like I'm a light sleeper anyway, so like you put me in a tent, I'm going to not get a great night's sleep probably, but I'll get decent sleep, and then over the course of several days of that, and then not to mention like sharing like full-size hotel rooms with, kids that roll all over the place on you. Mm-hmm. I haven't had really a great night of sleep, maybe one great night of sleep the whole time I've been gone. This is day 12. And so I'm pretty whooped. We've been traveling a lot. It's crazy. It feels like we've done like 6 to 7 hours of vehicle time every day, and we're still just in Oregon. So it's like, what in the world? But we have seen some incredible things, man. That's
cool, man. How's that new sleeping pad working out for you?
Oh, I'm air mattressing, bro.
Are you really?
Oh yeah, we're not backcountry on any of this stuff. We're truck camping.
So you haven't been sleeping. You don't plan on sleeping on a sleeping pad. It's going to be air mattress the whole way.
It's bad enough on an air mattress. You know what I mean?
I would imagine for sure.
So
I actually might prefer my pad to an air mattress. Tell you the truth of the matter.
Really?
It seems cooler and not as like. Sometimes with the air mattress, you just end up like falling in a hole, and it's just not good.
My air mattress, it's just a small like twin. It doesn't. There's no way to fall in a hole on it. It's pretty much good. It's like an oversized sleeping pad. Nice. So, it's done well. No problem. Yeah. It's just the fact that it's an air mattress.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about backcountry is I just thought maybe you were putting into play some of the stuff we've been learning on our backcountry podcast
No,
series.
sir. I have.
No?
I actually have, yeah, but not anything that is going to make my life tougher than what it could be. You know what I mean? So,
No reason to make things tough on vacation.
That's right. So I'm. It's not like, oh, I'm going to sleep on the ground because so and so backcountry guest told me that they could do that with pine straw or something. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I have actually employed and dispersed the knowledge of putting the next day's clothes in the bottom of the sleeping bag. I think that was Jess that told us that. I can't remember, but yeah. So like, you know, so therefore when you get up in the tent in the morning, your clothes are warm that you're putting on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which
nice.
Honestly, like I don't change clothes a lot. And I know it sounds terrible. I don't change clothes a lot when I'm camping. I mean, I do. I'm fine spending 2 days or so in clothes. You know what I mean?
Well,
especially
I'm
out here.
planning on going to the Gila and changing clothes once in 9 days.
That's,
so
I mean,
there's that.
I've done it. I've literally worn the same base layers for 8 days before in British Columbia. So, like when you're in pretty arid country, it's not that bad. I'll tell you this, man. The Gila it was hot. It was hot.
Was it?
Yeah, I was a little bit like, you know what? I feel like that we may need to plan on bringing an extra pair or two of clothes just to make sure that if we start sweating nasty up in them, that we've got the ability to change.
Yeah.
Because it was, and I know it's a different time of year. Obviously, that time of year it starts to kind of go back into the winter cycle. But
yeah,
it was pretty warm, man. I was.
Some of my thoughts on that is. And this is part of what I guess I wanted to ask you about since you got to go to the Gila land was if you bring one change of clothes, since it's so arid, do you think you'll be able to find water or a river somewhere and wash that set of clothes and by the next morning they'll be dry?
Man, I don't think so. But here's one reason is like if it's merino stuff, that stuff seems to hold water forever.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like I've got like just tennis shoes that I wade in a lot, you know, and I'll try to keep like a couple of pair of socks going that are wet wading socks, and the rest of them I try to keep dry. But like I've got clothes that still aren't dried out that I've been wading in here and there, like, and I haven't fished a ton, and I feel like that, like, if you say you go and wash your stuff in the, I mean, if you wash it early morning, you might be able to get it dry. But if you wash it like midday or later, like, it just seems like that it gets too cold at night that to dry stuff out, even as arid as it is.
Yeah.
So I would definitely be hesitant to rely on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah,
cool.
It was pretty chilly at night there, but it also like 90 degrees, you know, so.
Yeah,
it was pretty warm.
Well, hey, we're jumping something. So like we wanted to talk about your trip, and I just because you're doing a lot of awesome things.
Yep.
And I want to get to the Gila stuff real bad, but y'all actually went somewhere before you went to the Gila in New Mexico,
Midland, Texas. Yeah, so awesome. I love seeing those oil pumping horses or whatever they call them every couple acres.
You're from Midland.
Midland.
Yeah.
Midland or Odessa, one or the other. I'm not sure. So anyway, we stayed the first night there, but we ended up going the next day and the next morning heading out to Carlsbad Caverns, which was like a big request of my wife. She hadn't been since she was little and she didn't remember much of it, and so I didn't really want to go because it's just such a middle of nowhere. Like as far as like camping country and fishing country, there's not water out there really, and there's and it's hot, you know. So but we did go, and it was one of the highlights of the trip, man. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Have you ever been?
Yeah, I did. I went when I was 13 with my grandparents. We made a trip. We went out to Canyon, Texas, and watched the Texas play out there, and then we went to Carlsbad, and Carlsbad was bad to the bone,
dude.
Man. Like, it's cool. Did you watch the bats?
We didn't because we had to move on to the Gila that night. So it was like wake up in Midland, go to Carlsbad, spend a few hours there, and then get to the Gila that night. So,
gotcha.
That's kind of how a lot of our trips have been, man. It's been a lot of driving. So,
yeah,
man. But it was awesome, dude. We spent time. We didn't get to see the bats. You can't actually see them anymore where they like roost or whatever you call it. You can't like see that. You have to see them coming out of that natural entrance, and so we didn't get to. But yeah, it was awesome. We got some video, and I'm going to start trying to put some of this stuff together, hopefully for people to see. But we've been moving around so much, it's been tough to find time to even do anything business related, I guess. But yeah, we ended up in the Gila that night, and we had 2 nights at the Gila, so that night and the next night. So I thought, well, I'll just fish the next day, and from what I understand, it's just a matter of getting a dry fly in front of a Gila trout on the Gila River, and you can catch one. And that was not the case.
Oh.
So you and I haven't talked. So in case the listeners are wondering, like, we have totally refrained. I haven't shared any pictures or anything so that you didn't know what was going on.
I know that you have caught a brown trout somewhere in the West. That's what I know.
I sent you a good teaser there. I had to. So yeah, I the main point of my trip was to just get out with my family for a long trip and just spend some time, and then I guess a couple of points, but like I wanted to make sure and show people. So we've been budgeting hard on this thing and figuring out everything we've been spending and what we wanted to spend. And we're trying to show like people that, hey, this is like a viable option for a vacation. You may even spend less money than most other typical vacations. And yeah, you might be tired at the end of it, but like at any point from anywhere in the US, you can kind of do a similar thing. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be 28 days or whatever we're going for, but like it can be 7, it can be 4, whatever. Like there are places to go see cool things within 10 hours of most people. So anyway, that was a big point of it. And then the path that we're taking is basically to go see national parks along the way, and that's kind of our purpose along the path. And then also like I'm trying to obviously fit in as many native trout as possible. So I know that's like such a stupid thing for probably a bunch of our listeners, especially like deer hunters and stuff, but that's just something I'm interested in. I like the wild and native nature of some of these like real small trout across the West. So anyway, the Gila trout is one of those trout that's wild and native and lives there in the Gila. And I got to go up into basically the middle of the Gila wilderness. And so I sent you some stuff we talked about on the last podcast. So I wasn't too far from where we might even be hunting. But it was crazy, man. It just doesn't look like elk habitat hardly, It's just crazy how it looks. And I tried to get some decent video and stuff for you to kind of see what it looked like in certain areas so that you could apply that to the map scouting because I know one thing you expressed to me that you were wondering is like, man, when I look at this on an aerial, like, is that like, tiny little, cedars or whatever it might be, juniper or whatever, or is that like, taller pines, or what does that look like? You know what I mean? So I wanted to try to like say, okay, well, here this is on the map and here's what it looks like in person. So now you can take that and apply it somewhere else, or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of my purpose there. But I chased the Gila trout the next day, and man, there was like no bug life hardly. There was like not ants on the ground hardly. And I fished the East Fork, which is kind of where we stayed.
You said ants, not pants, right?
Pants were there, but ants weren't.
Pants was great.
So it was super dusty too. Like we honestly, like we had to try to figure out a way. There was no picnic or no table at our campground or whatever. So we had to like set stuff on the tailgate as we got into the truck. It was a disaster because it was so dusty. If you set anything down, it was like the rest of your trip, you're going to have a dusted whatever, So anyway, I chased the Gila on the East Fork, just right near the confluence with the main stem, I guess, or the West Fork, whatever, where it kind of creates the Gila, and it was tough, dude. I couldn't find like any, like I wasn't getting rises or anything. So like I kind of took off like a couple hundred yards late in the morning, and I come back. I had a couple of rises on like a big grass, a big hopper pattern, you know, but like nothing came after it. Just looked at it, saw like 2, and so I was like, man, this is tough. So I come back, and Jet has had my little blue net, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He netted like a 12-inch Gila trout.
How do you do that?
I don't know, dude. He's like a savant with the net somehow. Like he was catching blue crabs. Like there was dads walking around the beach a few years ago in South Carolina when we were there, and they couldn't catch them, and he was just netting them up everywhere, blue crabs, you know. Like I don't know what his deal is with that net, but he can catch anything. And he caught a like legit adult Gila trout in the net. And so at this point, I'm like, I am a terrible fly fisherman. So anyway, later that afternoon, we went to the Gila cliff dwellings, which was kind of the heart of the Gila there, and the wilderness area. And that was really cool, man. We got to see, you know, where people, I guess, 700 or 800 years ago had built, you know, stone houses into the caves in the wall. It was pretty cool, man. We all walked up there, and it's kind of nervous times with a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old running around on the edge of a cliff, you know. But it was good, man. It's cool to see. And then so anyway, we finally came back, got back in the truck, and man, it was remote, dude. Like the Gila cliff dwellings are like at the end of like a 35-mile or 37-mile road. It's dead.
Yeah,
dead
it's like a
into
road that like juts into the wilderness area, and they like keep it not wilderness just so this road can go way up in there.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like not only are you're like in the remote of remotes at that point in time, because you're like not only you in a wilderness, but you're actually going into it a long ways.
Yeah. Like these people that like work the visitor center and stuff, they have to like stay in government housing near there because their commute just through like that 37-mile stretch of road is, you know, would be an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then you have to get to a city after you hit the next road. You know what I mean? It's like ridiculous. So, but anyway, when we got back to the parking lot, we kind of ate lunch and stuff. And then we went back down, and we were headed down the West Fork of the Gila, which I think there's like a stamp that I got that's like a free stamp. And I think that it's like I think the West Fork is like the heart of like, it's where they stock the Gila trout. It's like where they want, you know, that like native range to really proliferate and be, you know, it's where the most pure strain is, I guess, or whatever. And that's just my guess from this whole trout stamp. And then I heard they had put some in the creek recently and stuff. And so we're like driving around this thing, and I see this little pullover, and I'm like, hey, just let me stop and just look at the creek real quick. So I stop, I get out, I look down this creek in this little, like, I guess you could call it a canyon section, and I see a big hole down there. And so I end up telling my wife, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to go down there and try to catch one in this hole, and then I'll be right back. And so they just all stayed in the truck. Kids are watching a little movie on their DVD player. And I go down there, and I tie a hopper on, and there's this nice little hole where this tree is falling in. And I throw a hopper in the back of the pool first, a couple times, let it float, nothing. Then I throw it in the front where I think I'm really going to get a bite. And this like 13, maybe 14-inch Gila trout just rises up real slow. Like it's crystal clear blue. And he rises up and just smashes the hopper. And I caught him, and I had to run up there. I put him in my net and still had him attached to the hopper, you know, which is probably not great practice, but it was the one Gila trout I had caught, so I didn't feel too bad about it. And I just put him in my net, put him in shallow water, and I was like, you know, he's fully submerged, so he should be good. I'm just going to leave him here and run back like 50 yards and wave my wife, tell her to come back. So I did. When I got back, he was still there, just chilling, you know. And so anyway, we got some video. I forgot to get a picture of him other than a cell phone picture of him in the net. And so don't have a picture of him, but I got video of him released and everything. My wife helped me do that. So pretty cool. That was like a big one that I wanted to knock off because you just don't pass by the Gila. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, you can pass by like somewhere in California and, you know, whatever, catch a lahontan or something like that. But like, it's different. So I wanted to get
How much do they look like those Apache trout?
A lot, dude.
Yeah.
A lot. Like I've wondered, like I was wondering after I caught it, I was like, how, you know, like what is it that makes these things distinct from an Apache, you know, like
Yeah.
other than just a big mountain range or something, you know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they look alike. So, but it was such a pretty fish, man. I was really excited. It was the only one I caught. So then we moved on from there.
Cool.
I don't know if you had any other questions about the Gila while we're sitting here talking about it, but
well, did you see any snow anywhere at all?
no snow, no elk, no deer. We did see turkeys and a bobcat.
Yeah, those turkeys are $100 a piece.
Yeah, well, only if you kill them.
That's true.
They're pretty cheap when you take pictures of them. So anyway,
that's true.
After that, dude, we left there and we went to Petrified National Park, which is cool. It's like one and the same kind of with the painted desert, and that was really neat. Got some pictures there. Kind of passed through there pretty quick overall, and then went on. I don't know. We stayed in Flagstaff somewhere in there, Arizona, which is a really cool town. And then went to the Grand Canyon. So that was kind of another big thing we wanted to hit, you know. And it was cool, man. Pictures. The one thing I noticed on all these things is pictures just can't do them justice, man.
Yeah.
You have to go see this stuff if you're listening and you're like, oh yeah, I've seen pictures. It looks pretty cool, whatever. No, it's not. It's not the same unless you go to it, man.
So this is something I wanted to ask you about the Grand Canyon. Do you go and see the Grand Canyon, or do you go experience the Grand Canyon?
We went and saw it, but we're going to go back and experience it, I think.
Okay.
I mean,
well, what's the difference?
So this is something we ran into in Yellowstone last year. Is when you go to like the really big national parks, like the heavy hitters, the Grand Canyon, the Yosemite, probably I haven't been there, but the Yellowstone, those kind of ones that you've heard about, they're like, there's more foreign people there from all over. I mean, Germany, Asian cultures, all these like, Eastern European countries, it seems like. I mean, there's like more of them than there are Americans at these parks sometimes. I honestly feel like that's the case.
Yeah.
And so it kind of becomes a circus, man. I mean, we were there in the middle of the week, and there's just people yelling all different languages at all different times, and kids running everywhere, and, people doing stupid stuff and blowing smoke in your face as you pass by, and just all this,
cool.
It's just not the experience that I want exactly. So you go and you see it just like we did last year at Yellowstone. We went and we saw the geysers, we saw the pools, and all the bison and everything. And then if I go back to Yellowstone, it will be to go backcountry camping and experience it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But honestly, the traffic was so horrendous that, I don't know if I'll go back to Yellowstone. I may go around Yellowstone somewhere. But, that's kind of the difference. So, like the Grand Canyon, we went and saw it, and it was incredible. We stopped a few times, got our visitor center things out of the way, touristy kind of things, and then my wife and I decided we want to go back and do a float trip down the Colorado through the canyon. So,
ooh, don't you have to apply for that?
I mean, we're not going to DIY it or anything. I think it would be like a guided trip, essentially.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because I don't have a boat that'll go through a Colorado River and the Grand Canyon, really. So
the guides kind of already have their clientele lined up, and that's your application.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe that's how it works. So anyway, that's kind of the
you should start in Grand Junction, Colorado, and then just do the whole thing.
That sounds like more than 28 days worth of floating. Sounds like it a lot. Yeah, that'd be cool. But anyway, that's kind of the difference there. And we left Grand Canyon, and man, I'm just, it's like we're day 12, so I've forgotten a lot of details. But we left there, and we went through Death Valley at some point. I don't remember if it was later that day or not.
Dirty.
Dude, honestly, Death Valley I was completely surprised at how awesome it was, dude.
Yeah.
Like, when I thought of Death Valley prior, it was like, dude, we're going to have to freaking go through this hot place, have nowhere to stop. Hopefully we don't run out of gas, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be 115 degrees or whatever. And it was like, it blew my mind how awesome it was. I mean, it was cool to be at 250 feet below sea level and see the salt flats and no plant life on the landscape hardly, and that kind of thing. It was 103 when we were there, so it was pretty hot, but it was different kind of 103 than it is back where you're at. And and then, but like as you come up out of it, this park is huge, man. And as you come up out of it, like you're coming into like 4,000 foot desert where it's like 80, 83 degrees, whatever, and feels great outside. And there's like fighter jets flying around like 100 feet off the ground, blowing your hair back, dude. It's like, it was insane, dude. Joshua trees, all kinds of different just cool rocks and cactus and everything. I mean, it was neat, man, and it felt real comfortable and good, and the views were incredible, man. So
is a Joshua tree kind of like a yucca that's a tree?
Yeah, it is. It looks a lot like a yucca, but I don't know if it is a yucca or not, because there are some yuccas that grow like really tall that aren't Joshua trees, I believe. So anyway, but yeah, dude, it's a lot like a yucca, and I'm going to go ahead and spill the beans on this. I was taking a time lapse of a Joshua tree, and I kind of framed it up on the right third or whatever, and had like some clouds in the background, just like a couple little clouds. And we're sitting there, and I'm running this thing for like 10 minutes, and then we're going to roll. And a fighter jet comes smoking through right over the top of us. Jet was napping, and it woke him up inside the truck.
Oh.
I mean, that's how loud this thing was. And we go back and look at the time lapse, and I've got 2 pictures with that fighter jet in the time lapse.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Dude, cool, probably like top 1 or 2 coolest pictures I've ever taken, like
dang,
just insane. So, and he's definitely small back in there, but like you can definitely tell it's a fighter jet, like especially if you zoom in. I mean, it looks just like a jet, like a little toy jet coming through. Whatever. It was so cool, dude. So
it is cool.
Anyway, I guess we didn't do Death Valley on the same day as Grand Canyon. I can't remember. I'm not going to think about it too hard. But so as we come out of Death Valley, we were going to stay in, and we may have done it on the same day, but we were going to stay in Eastern California, and we had booked a campground, Craig's Campground. It was awesome, dude. But like as we're coming in, we come in to California, and we like end up in the first town we're in is like the gateway to Mount Whitney, which is I think it's the tallest mountain in the lower 48. Really? 14.6 or something like that, I think.
That's in California?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So big, huge mountains. The Sierra Nevadas impressed me thoroughly as well. Like I was thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be this small range that like we can see pretty much most of it from the road coming into Eastern California, and then it'll peter out or whatever. And dude, we drove for miles and miles and miles the next day before we stopped seeing snow-capped mountains. I mean, it was insane, dude. But anyway, as we came in, we were like, we got to where we were going to turn off and head down like 15-minute road to our campground. And I was like, oh man, I'd done some research. I was trying to catch a lahontan cutthroat in that area. And I was like, this I think it was the East Fork of the Walker River. It was like they're supposed to have them in here. So I was like, okay, cool. It's in their native range according to California's website or whatever. And so I thought, well, I'll just go in there and see if I can catch one. So we kind of took a right instead of a left, and I drove like 10 minutes, and I found a pull off, and I look at the river, and it is raging. Like, I mean, it's not muddy, but it's high, man, and it's flowing. And so yeah. And so I like get my family and sneak through this brush or whatever, and I put on I had a grasshopper or a hopper dropper kind of rig or whatever. And so I try to toss it in this little, it bends right in front of me. And so there's like a little dead spot, a little eddy right up against the bank. And it looks pretty deep. So, this thing is like 4 square feet, it looks like. And so I try to drop it in there, get hung. So I have to move up a little bit, and I get it unhung. And then I get a new little spot of that pull to drop it in. Drop it in there, it floats around and goes under. And I set the hook, and I'm like, dude, I think I've got a lahontan cutthroat, it starts, I see it take off. I'm like, man, it feels like a pretty good one too. I was expecting a small fish because usually native fish are pretty small. And the river wasn't huge. It was decent size. And so it takes off and gets out in the current, and it's like strip and drag, and I'm like, man, it feels pretty good, but I think it's just mostly current, but maybe 12, 13-inch fish. And so it like goes up, and in the middle of the river, there's this hump that you can see like a gravel bar almost, and it like it's heading towards that, and it like comes up and rolls, and I'm like, holy cow, this thing is huge. And it rolls up, it goes on the back side of this little hump, and it's just sitting in that slack water, as the water like shoots over the top of it. And it's so shallow there that it's like the tail is still coming out. Long story short, I fight this fish for I think over 10 minutes mainly because of the current, and I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go downstream because it was just thick willows and deep. And I'm like, I took my shoes off while it was sitting out there just in that dead water, and like got in like up to my crotch almost, and in the hole that I caught the fish in, and I fought this thing for 10 minutes. I finally I'm like, okay, well, I got to just pull him in. I mean, he's whooped. It's just a matter of like every time this slab fish like turns left or right, he's fighting me full with the current, So I just start pulling pretty hard and get him into the net, and it's the biggest trout I've ever caught on a fly rod.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a brown, and I figured that out about halfway through the fight when I got a better look at him. But he's every bit of 22 inches.
Dang,
dude, and just it ain't like 22-inch like slender head. You know what I mean? Like this dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post pictures soon now that we're talking about it, and now that I've told you. But dude, just a fat shoulders, man. Just I was shaking, dude. Like you would have thought I just shot a deer. I mean, I'm dead serious. I was shaking so hard because I fought him for like 10 minutes, and I'm just thinking the whole time, please don't get off. Please don't get off. And the cool thing about it is it's all on camera because I hooked him on like the third cast. So usually like after like 5 casts, my family starts playing around and they don't pay attention to me, or whatever.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So there was actually video of it. I got a GoPro hook set and everything, like it's going to be a cool little video, man. And
nice.
He's just a slab. I mean, I don't know how big. I kind of measured him on my rod, and I still haven't had a tape measure to figure it out. But I mean, this fish was every bit of 22 inches, man. So,
dang, dude, that's cool. Blue cheeks.
Yes, dude. Yeah, I mean, just and like the fish was so strong that even after fighting it 10 minutes, man, I just like when I got ready to let it go, it was like mad about it, So
that's cool.
Yeah. So I was super stoked, man. And after that, I was like, all right, I just want to try a couple more pulls real quick. And I went down the stream like 10 yards, hung up on the opposite side of the string, and broke my dry dropper off. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm fine. And so
satisfied.
We went and we camped out at a really cool campground, Crags Campground. And it was like awesome views. Saw a bunch of deer there, which I don't know what kind of deer those are exactly. I need to do more research on that, but I've been driving a lot.
Where are you at?
Eastern California, basically just east of Yosemite. I mean, it like over the mountain, I think, is Yosemite where we could see. So
I think that's going to just be a mule deer. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but
well, we camped there. It was super cold the next morning. I caught a little brown out of the river next to the campground there, and then we took off, and I was unable to get my hunting cutthroat on this trip, and I really was hoping to do that because we passed through a lot of that country, but it's just, man, when you go on a trip like this, you got to be dad still or husband, whatever you might be, I guess,
Yeah,
you
sure.
can't just be selfish the whole time. And honestly, like I've been, the national parks have been so cool, it doesn't bother me, I'm not shopping and stuff like that, so that's fine. So it's been awesome. I haven't fished a whole lot. We went from there to Redding, California, and had my plans from there were to try to catch one of the McLeod red band trout up north of Redding in their native like upper McLeod ranges, So went to the fly shop there in Redding, and that's what it's called, and it was pretty good, man. It was a cool place. Had a friendly fellow from Austin, Texas there, or had spent some time touring in a band in Austin, and talked to him for a while, and then got some info and some really cheap flies, and they sent me to Ted Fay's fly shop north of there in what was it, Dunsmuir, I think is what it's called. And Bob at Ted Fay's, which I think Ted Fay has passed on, and Bob is his buddy, was gave me some really good information on where to catch the McLeod red band. Which, man, I'll tell you what, finding guys in fly shops that actually care about like native and wild trout is pretty difficult.
Yeah, everybody wants to, yeah, man, you float this section, there's some big browns down there, you know, like it's just, you know, they just bro it up, and it's like, man, I kind of just want to go have a peaceful place. And,
yeah, it is, man. It's kind of like if you were to walk in, and it's different in a lot of ways too, but like, you know, you walk in somewhere at Lake Fork and they're going to tell you where you can catch bass, big bass, you know, and that's what these fly guys want to do. They want to show you where you catch big fish or lots of them or whatever. And I'm like, man, I want to catch a tiny 6-inch trout in a really remote place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just weird too. I know, I understand it, but like you would think there would be some experts in there that have like caught that bug at some point. And I'm just, Bob at Ted Fay's was like the closest thing to that I've ever found. And he was like, this was one of Ted's favorite places to go. It's called Trout Creek. And
cool.
Yeah. So I went up there and I ended up catching, I think the biggest one I caught was 6 inches, and I caught like 5 red bands, and they were so cool, man. And that river was cool too.
Do they really look that much different than like what we know as a stock rainbow?
It looks like a wild, rainbow fingerling, you know what I mean?
So like a bunch of par markings on it and stuff.
Yeah, but I think if like there's 2 different like main strains, like there's like a Colombian and like a Great Basin strain of red bands, I think. Yeah. And like they get big in the bigger rivers and they look really, really cool, you know? I mean, they definitely look like the coolest rainbow you've ever seen kind of thing. Well,
so compare those to the Smoky Mountain rainbows. Do they look a lot like that?
Yeah, very similar. And I spent a long time since I caught a rainbow in the Smokies, but I mean, they do have like that red band is like so pronounced. It's not necessarily that it's like in those little fish, I don't know if it's different than the rainbows or not, but it's like a very like hardcore streak through the middle of them of red. So pretty cool, man. That's cool. I was really excited to get that one. And then from there, we went to Redwoods, and which Redwoods National Park is right on the Pacific. So, like, from there, it's been pretty similar experience. But, like, I can't tell you how cool the campground was we stayed in near Redwoods there. It was like, I think it was called Mill Creek. There's all, like, state park and national park, like, intermittent there. And if you've never seen the Redwoods, I've never seen the sequoias, but the redwoods are just, apparently the sequoias are bigger but not as tall. But the redwoods are outrageous, dude. I mean, we did this one little half-mile trail this guy at the visitor center told us to do and just walked it or whatever, and we spent like 2 hours in there walking and taking pictures and looking, and it was so cool, dude. Like, when they fall, you know, like you can get up on these like stacks of them and you're just way up in the air on top of redwood trees laid over and stuff. And I'll never be able to explain or show you enough pictures to actually show you how big they are. Like you just have to go see it.
In feet, like how big is a redwood tree?
Well, the biggest one I think ever was like 380. And I mean, so there's a lot of trees there that are a football field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Up. So, and
that's
just like
nuts.
Around, I don't know, like the diameter, but 12, 14 feet in diameter, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just outrageous, dude. So cool. And just like peaceful and quiet, and the weather was the best, man. Like, it wasn't wet and rainy. It was, you know, like room temperature. It was just so nice, man. Yeah. And then we stayed in that campground that night, and there was sites everywhere, and they were packed in there. But because of all the big redwood stumps in there from where I guess they had forested it before, like it was like, literally you just thought gnomes were going to jump out at any time, dude, and like just hang out with you. It was freaking weird. It was weird and cool at the same time. Like little tiny campsites that were built up on these staircases into these fern like groves, and you'd see a tent like back in there somewhere, and it was so cool, man. So. And I ended up catching a trout there, which I don't know what it was.
Oh, really?
They've got coastals in there, but it didn't have any cuts on it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what it was. But anyway, yeah, we did that a couple days ago. Met Chris and Jamie up there, and we've seen a ton of Pacific Highway. We did the 101 Scenic Highway all the way up the coast here to Oregon, like central northern Oregon, where we're at.
Cool.
And we've seen seals, sea lions, and gray whales. I saw a gray whale yesterday, a bunch of them.
That's cool.
Yep. They're pretty far off. I've got some pictures, though, with my big lens, and you can definitely tell it's like whale tails and like them shooting spray up and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome, man. So I'm excited. From here, we go to the Olympic Peninsula, and Seattle area, Olympic Peninsula, and then we're going to head from there out. I'm actually flying in for to play a show out of Seattle and flying back to Spokane, and we're going to meet there, spend some time in Idaho, and then head home pretty quick there because I got another show the next week. So,
all right,
lots of moving around. Hopefully we can get rested up here. We're with my parents right now. They met us up here, and we plan to meet them, I guess, on these days. And they've got a beach house, and that's actually where we saw the gray whales from. So
that's cool.
But dude, I mean, I could go on and on about all the cool things and the cool rocks here on the Pacific and everything that we've seen. But the main thing is just people that are listening need to go do this. I mean, and it may be something you do over a whole lifetime. Like, you don't have to do a 28-day trip, but like, start seeing some of these places, man. I mean, you can get cheap flights and go, rent cars, and for a few $100, you can see some of the most incredible things in the world, man.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a new take on the whole idea of the land of opportunity. Yeah. Like, it's not so much about the American dream side of opportunity, but the opportunity to go and do cool things. Like, we all have it. It's pretty cool.
It is, man. And like, we're so connected, and it's at our detriment sometimes, but we're also still so connected that like you can go and still take care of things business wise while you go do this stuff sometimes, if you plan it correctly. So it's taken a lot of planning to get this thing done right, and my wife did most of it, so kudos to her. But man, it's been a lot of fun, man. So
that's cool.
Hate to one up you with my story there. I know you haven't had a bunch of stuff going on yet, but you guys are going pretty soon, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm not worried about the one-upping, dude. Don't worry. I'm going to kill more stuff than you this year, so it's going to be fine.
Well, we'll see about that, because I just got another tag notification.
Oh, did you really?
I did.
Oh,
we going to Iowa, bro.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, my gosh. We're going to go just talk to Tony Peterson again just to get fired up all over again about it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I saw that come in the other day. They're like, successful. I'm like, hadn't seen that since 2011, I don't think.
Very nice. Very nice.
So,
it's good.
Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. I mean, not a lot going on here. I put a new honey super on my beehive, but that's about it. But I just, ever since I saw this little snippet of pictures from the Gila and saw that y'all went and did that, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to go spend some time there. And, just get to, and like you were saying, Cassie and I are going to get to go on a trip. We're going to just kind of concentrate on the state of Colorado, which is kind of a place that we love to go together. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be fun. I'm going to do some fishing and some hiking, and Cassie's going to do her first overnight backpack trip. So that should be cool.
Sweet.
Hopefully that's cool. We'll see.
Do you have a tent?
I don't, but I'm probably going to get one soon.
Cool. Well, I'm actually going past, in probably the next week or so, going past one of our future Backcountry episode guests.
Yeah.
His little place there, what I'm talking about. Where they're building tents. So
I think that's probably which one I'm going to go with.
Yeah, so, that was a great suggestion by one of our guests, and so I'm excited about it. I'm going to go see what they got to offer. We've already talked to them a lot, and I think it looks good, man. It's a good price and good functionality. So
for sure, man. And speaking of the Backcountry podcast, the first episode that we launched was the one with Trent Fisher, Born and Raised Outdoors. Trent thought that our questions were good enough that we could actually be on their podcast. So,
that's cool.
Pretty cool thing that we talked about a little bit beforehand, but we actually did. I guess you would call that a simulcast, where Trent took that episode and actually put on the Born and Raised Outdoors audio experience is what they call theirs. So go listen to that. Go listen to some of the other stuff they put on there too. A lot more. They do two things. I've listened to it some, and they do two things really well. They kind of do some storytelling about elk hunts and stuff, and then they also kind of really break down some technical things that they do. So if you're trying to learn about like how to do the elk hunting thing, listen to our backcountry series, but then go listen to some of the stuff they're doing. So because Born and Raised is putting together some really good stuff over there, and I feel kind of honored and privileged that he thought that our show was worthy to put on there. So very cool.
Me too, man. I just found out about this morning. You let me know on that, and I've been out of the loop. You've been keeping up with everything pretty well, social and stuff. So I appreciate that, man. And that's pretty good little deal there, man. I mean, we that was one of our favorite guests, man, that we've had so far. So it was it was a fun time, man.
Dude, honestly, like throughout this backcountry series, like we've talked to some really cool people, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like that's one of the, I don't know, you talk about it a lot. We've talked about it a lot. I enjoy talking to whitetail guys because a lot of them are tacticians and they're really serious about what they do, and you can learn a ton. But it seems to me that there's more personality kind of in that Western side of thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of guys who really still like enjoy hunting in groups and laughing a lot. Not to say there's not that in the whitetail world either, but like, I don't know. It just seems like through this backcountry mini series, we've got to really talk to some cool folks, and I'm glad that we did it.
Yeah, so, me too, man.
More cool stuff coming up with that. We'll have another one of those episodes coming this Tuesday. I don't even know who we're releasing this Tuesday.
I don't either.
We'll figure that out. We'll talk about that more a little bit. Hey, one thing you haven't talked much about, and I'm very surprised, and maybe this is like upcoming, but you have not said one thing about good food that you've had on this trip.
Yeah.
And dude, food is a big deal, man.
I know, dude.
What have you been eating?
We've been just, we've done a lot of camping. We've tried to do this all pretty cheap. And so for me, that's like trying to manage my wife's expectations more than anything, which is not that difficult because she's pretty easygoing, and not picky or anything. So it's okay. We've had some Taco Bell and some of that kind of stuff here and there. Just randomly here and there. We ate at an airport in Winslow, Arizona, at a Mexican food place there. That was, some parts of it were good and some parts of it were definitely different, but we've tried to stay away from Mexican since we left kind of the Southwest. And, we just really we just got to my parents', the house that they rented for a couple of days. We just got here last night. So today we're actually, as soon as I get off of here, we're going to head to the docks, and we might end up, my dad was wanting to do a charter trip, because there's really cheap charter trips for like king salmon right now. And you can go like crabbing for like 3 hours for $55, which, if you get your limit, it's like 12, Dungeness crabs, and so for $55, that's a pretty good chunk of crab, so anyway, I don't know. Cool. But we probably won't do the crabbing thing. We'll probably just pick up some fresh crabs to eat tonight, and then probably do some salmon fishing tomorrow, and maybe eat what we catch tomorrow, if we get to do that. So if my dad really wants to do that, so he's kind of probably talking about ponying up for us.
I'm interested in that because you and I've talked about this. Like, it's pretty intriguing to think that you could go on like a meat haul kind of thing, like fly in somewhere, go on a fishing trip, come back, and it be worth the trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We have talked about it.
If y'all can find like a fairly inexpensive charter that you can go and do that, that's pretty intriguing.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm hoping that it turns out pretty good, man. I mean, we'll see.
Hopefully it's not like $75 day leases in Llano, Texas. Hopefully it's better than that.
Well, it's the Pacific Ocean, so surely there's it's going to be hard for these kind of guys to fish it out, too much. But I don't know. As far as food goes, man, we've just been grilling burgers at night and stuff like that, and doing canned green beans and corn and chicken and tomatoes and avocados, and just kind of like that kind of stuff and putting it all
Yeah.
together and eating some beans and stuff like that. So just kind
Sounds
of
good, though.
yeah, it's just a little bit of forward thinking, I guess, and you pretty much can eat like you do at home. We've got a propane stove, and I haven't even run through a full bottle of propane yet. So
Really?
yeah. So pretty, and I've been using the Pocket Rocket for like oatmeal in the morning and that kind of thing, I guess. So anyway, it's been
Cool,
good, man. Yeah, it's been not
That's
too
good.
bad. So
I guess y'all are fixing to start the time when you get to really get into that good seafood stuff and have some better meals.
That's right, man. We're going to do sushi and all that kind of stuff. So once we get to Seattle, we're going to like fish markets and stuff, you know.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Dude.
It's going to be good.
So good.
I know. I cannot wait, dude.
I got steamed clams and a halibut sandwich the last time I was in Seattle, and it is hard to beat.
Give it to me.
It's just the best.
I'm going to eat a sea anemone if you don't stop.
Oh, dude, do it. They're pretty good.
Are they?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could eat them.
Top. Yeah, or no, not anemones. I'm sorry.
Urchin?
I'm thinking about urchins.
Yeah.
I've eaten sea urchins.
We've seen a couple of urchins and anemones in the rocks, but we haven't really been into a really rocky like tide pool area yet. We're going to though.
Cool.
So anyway,
cool.
Been cool, man. But yeah, I mean, there's other than that, man. I'm just gonna have to fill you in on the rest of the trip sometime in the next couple weeks. We don't have any like pre-recorded whitetail guests right now for like our regular programming. So who knows what next week is going to look like for us or the next week after. So just hang with us through the next couple weeks.
Next week's the 4th of July time period, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know there's going to be a lot of people traveling and stuff. And if you are traveling that time, guys, be safe. Get out, enjoy your freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll have something for you, something to talk about, maybe something reflective.
Yep.
But anyways,
hopefully I'll have caught a coastal cutthroat trout at that point. That's what I'm looking to do next, and I have not been able to really try it yet. Blackmouth is definitely probably the next thing after that. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm sitting there and the blackmouths are going crazy, like it's gonna be on, you know.
I think it's kind of like sand bass and hybrids.
Yeah.
Like one cast might be one and the next cast be the next. Like I think they might run together a little bit.
I got you. Yeah.
At least that's kind of what I saw when I was up there. But who knows? That was just a little snapshot of what actually happens.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do know that if you see the dolphins and stuff, there probably won't be any fish around. I do know that.
Yeah. That's kind of a universal thing in the ocean, right?
Yeah,
it's like
man. Redfish, whatever. If dolphins come through, you can hang it up. Ain't nothing biting for a while.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I look forward to the rest of the trip, but I also look forward to getting back. And that's going to be, once you and I both are going to get back about the same day. And once we do that, it's like game on, dude. It's like,
I know.
It's get some cameras out maybe for whitetails, and then also really crack down and get our gear list and everything finalized for the Gila.
For sure. I actually put out a trail camera the other day.
All right.
And a mineral rock.
Dang, dude.
I know, man. I'm just a straight up land manager. Okay?
You are, dude. Just giving minerals. Just giving them minerals.
Well, I thought, I'm going to try this and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have high expectations for it, but, you never know. It doesn't hurt to try. But I am looking forward to getting some cams out on some public around here because, man, I just feel like we've got some unfinished business and some big gear that I would really like to pick up.
Dude, you are not lying, man. I've been thinking about it.
I'm excited about it. And I need to do some gear stuff too pretty soon. I gotta buy arrows this year, man.
Dang it.
I'm trying to figure out what to go with there. If you got any suggestions, y'all hit me up. I shot the Axis last year and liked their performance, but they broke a lot. If you got any suggestions on that, y'all hit me up. Let me know.
Yep. Send us a message. KC will check it out. I'll be trying to catch a cutthroat trout while y'all are talking about it. Anyway, dude, sounds good. Also, I guess last thing I would say here, this is a good point you brought up in our last episode, but we don't have we don't have to run any commercials or sponsors right now. And we're getting to the point where if we can either do that and we can start to do that to help pay for our time doing this thing, or you guys can just buy merchandise off our website, and we can. I mean, like I said last week, we know how many people listen to this thing. If we were just getting $1 from everybody that listened to the thing, we would be fine for a long time. And I hate to do this. Like, I don't want to sit here and ask for money, but like, if you guys are a fan of, like, you know, sponsor free type of stuff, which, you know, is a pretty cool thing in my opinion when I'm a consumer, then, you know, buying some merchandise is definitely helpful for us. Helps us to keep our spirits up while we do this, so that we're not doing it for free. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that understand that when you put a big time investment into something, like, you know, you either hope that it gives you a lot of joy, which it does, or gives you, you know, some money or whatever. So that's kind of where we're at with this, I guess. So anyway, just go to the website, check it out. If you see something you like, or if you want to send us a message and be like, hey, I would like it if y'all would do these kind of hats or something like that, then we'll definitely entertain that message. So, and that thought. So anyway, I guess the last thing that I would say, man, in regards to all this is, like, through all these national park experiences that I've had, and just seeing all this crazy cool stuff, this Oregon, like, wilderness area and the ocean and everything, like, there's still something else that you can kind of feel when you go and see these things. You know what I mean? Like, something much bigger created, like, these big, huge trees, right? You know, and this big ocean. Like, you can, for me at least, I'm speaking personally, when I see the redwoods, I'm blown away. I can't stop looking up. And then at the same time, like, it's still not, like, I'm still not, like, fully satisfied. You know what I mean? Like, there's still something else that, and to me, that's just, like, that thing is the creator. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily, like, the creation is awesome, no doubt. I think it's awesome. But, like, I don't know. It's just, this trip has kind of drawn me. Like, I'm here in my element where I want to be on this earth, and I'm just drawn more and more towards the creator of these beautiful things that I'm seeing. So, just a kind of a thought that I've had lately, man.
It's awesome stuff, dude. Yeah. And I don't know if you know, if you're listening, I don't know what you believe, and that's fine. But I would tell you that, man, everything else that we have that humans have made that's pretty cool has to have a designer. So if you look at what's out there and what we can't even fathom being able to create because we don't have the means, there has to be a designer to that too, right? That creation points to design, and that's by the creator. So good points, man. I had that
similar conversation with a surfer that I met yesterday at our campground. He's like,
no way, bro.
Dude, he looks like he's our age, but he's 50. He was actually married to a lady from Austin. And they were there, and they were just hiking and kind of seeing. They're heading up towards, like, same, you know, 101 up to Canada, basically, I think. Yeah. And he was real like that kind of California surfer kind of thing going on. Like, I just feel like there's definitely this connection with, like, something, you know, a creator above, and, like, you know, if you're living in that, man, like, love is just universally this and that. Like, it was like a real kind of surfer spiritual thing. But I think But he definitely expressed that he believed in God, and he said something about believing in Christ as well. And so, anyway, we had a conversation. I was like, man, I wasn't trying to get too into it with him about it, but we ended up kind of going that way. And I was like, man, you just can't deny, like, this stuff, like this thing that we're looking at right here just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't created by Seafoam. You know what I mean? Like, we're not. Anyway, there's a creator. So I don't know. It was just cool conversation that I got to have, like, at 8:00 in the morning with this surfer dude from California. You know.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Anyway, pretty cool. But anyway, I have got to go meet my family. We're gonna go try to find some seafood to eat, I think, for lunch. So
nice.
Go get your sweat on, man. Make you some money, and it's all gonna pay off here in September, man.
Woo! I hope so, man. Can't wait, dude. Well, until we talk again, dude.
Yep. I'll keep you informed as much as possible without spilling the beans on everything. I'm going to release pictures now, though, so that I've told you all this stuff.
Nice. So. I'm going to be following the old Element Instagram page very closely.
All right. That's good, man. Yeah. Well, cool. For all you that are maybe traveling and coming up on 4th of July here and doing some traveling, and stay safe. And remember, this is your element.
Living it.